All right, we're here on another episode of a podcast that I still haven't created a name for. I need help.
No
Uh,
name?
Still no name. I've had one recommendation was Quadcast because Quad Father training.
Oh, I
So
like that.
Quadcast is kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
We're still like I gotta like what do you call it? Like market survey that. Like I don't know. It sounds cool, but is it like that cool? Like I want to kind of be bigger. I don't want to kind of be like pigeonholed. So I don't know.
Sure.
So, if you have at any point in time, if you have a suggestion for the name, you're like, John, your response to this was beautiful. It has made me realize the name of your podcast should be, and you said it, I accept.
Okay,
Uh,
I will think about that. It's got to come organically, you know?
that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
organically, for me, it hasn't happened yet, so it's upsetting.
Yeah.
But
We could work through that together if you want
please
to.
don't tempt me with a good time. All right, Liz, thank you for joining me on this podcast episode today. I will butcher any introduction that you let me, so you should not let me. I would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers so they get to know who you are, what you do, so on and so forth. But like we'll kind of get into what you do later, so more so focus on who you are.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, John. I'm excited to get into some interesting, fun content.
Mm,
I'm Liz. I've lived in San Marcos most of my life.
okay.
Minus growing up, I was born in Colorado, lived there
Oh,
for the first 6 years of my life. And then my parents got so sick of the cold. They're like, okay, what's the hottest place to move? Arizona or Texas? Let's go to Texas.
go to Texas.
Yeah. I grew up playing soccer and
Mm,
basketball, so major athlete. I still watch the World Cups. It's my main
mm.
jam. Actually, my bucket list is to go to a World Cup. That's important to me in this life for sure.
Okay, okay.
Other than that, I'm a Lego builder.
Lego builder.
Yeah, yeah, I got into that this year. Yeah, I have a dog. I have a
Tell
cat.
me, tell me about the dog and the cat. I need to know.
Okay, so I have a dog named Sam, and he is a boxer Brendel Mastiff mix.
That's
Uh-huh.
so pretty.
Yeah,
How big is he?
he's like 95 pounds.
I
Yeah,
want to cuddle him so bad, and I haven't even met him yet. I'm sorry. Continue.
you could totally cuddle him. He's a big, giant, like gentle guy. Yeah. And then I have a cat named Abby, and
Mhm.
she is very vocal. She yells at me a lot.
As I'm told cat to do.
Yeah, they tend to do that. Um, what else about me? I so I actually took improv classes for a year.
Mm,
So every now and then I go perform improv. Not a whole lot more recently, but I was doing it for a while. And also I wrote a play
Roach role play.
and performed it at Frontera Fest in Austin. And it was all about my coming out as queer story. And I incorporated internal family systems. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I
That
have not heard of that, but that sounds like a skill set that you have, and that's so badass.
it was amazing. It was truly like one of the greatest things I've ever done. I'll send you the recording of that play.
I first of all, I need the recording of that play. Like, don't like you can't just say like I will say no, no. Like I need. Not it's no longer. It's gone from want to need now.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it has to happen.
Okay. Well, John, I hear your need.
Thank you.
Yes, I will help you with that need for sure.
Thank you. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Legit. Oh, I'm meant
Yeah.
to ask you more about like your Legos and like after the interview, so get ready for
Sure.
that later.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you for like letting us know like more about you. The next thing I want to ask you is if you could elaborate who you are as far as like a professional and kind of lend that into how long you've been in your industry.
Yeah. Okay. So I have worked with the whole entire lifespan in terms of like clients and so I do mainly individual therapy currently, and
Mhm.
I it's an eclectic approach as it is with I think most therapists. We kind of just gather gathered trainings in our own personal experiences in therapy and incorporate various aspects that we like really gravitate towards. So that's definitely me. Um, I've been specializing in couples work for the past, I think it's going on 6 years. And I love that. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do. And then, yeah, North Node Therapeutic Theatre. We just started our LLC for that, and we do therapeutic groups. And so I mean, that's my biggest passion currently, and I think it will be for
Very good.
years. Um, and so it's been quite the journey of getting to this point. I've been in the field for over, I think, going on 17 years. I would have to I can fact check that later, but I
In fact,
believe it's going on 17 years. Yeah.
mind blown. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Um, I've done I've done like social skills group for teenage girls. I worked at adult probation doing domestic violence prevention groups for the men and the women on probation. I did that for 7 years. Um, I worked at a hospital. I worked at a community college setting. I've worked at high schools and elementary schools. I've kind of been in many different realms
Hmm.
inside of my work. And all of that being said, the things that have informed me as a practitioner the most, I would say, has been like trainings that like energize me, and then also my own personal healing journey too. I believe that like experience is the greatest wisdom that we acquire. And so the experiences that I've had inside of my own healing work have been the biggest teachers for me. Um, yeah, for sure.
That's heavy. Okay. All right. I remember I said I might bring you back for a second of like I might need to. It's not gone from might need to guaranteed need. So once again,
Great.
I'm gonna give you all my needs in this episode. So make sure you're paying attention. You got this.
Okay. Writing it down right now. Yeah.
Um, so legit, thank you for like, that was like a brilliant background as far as like what you've done and where you've been with regards to the field of like, kind of like therapy and like psychology. I did want to ask, what was your favorite thing about being a licensed clinical psychologist? Like, is it the people you work with? Is it the fact that like you get to turn your brain off, you get to turn your brain on? Like, what is it with the work that you do that makes it your favorite?
Yeah, I think it's multifaceted for me. I think the greatest and most fun piece of it is getting to see clients have those moments of insight and recognition of either like something new that they never thought that they could feel or
Hmm.
believe about themselves. Um, or just like these really huge breakthrough experiences where they've come to the other side of trauma, for example, like a traumatic experience, and instead of it being um, still very much like impacting them in a negative way, they've taken it and created new insight and actually flipped it into a strength.
Ooh,
Like our greatest
okay.
wounds can become our greatest strengths. And so to see clients like journey through that and recognize their own power is like that's I'm addicted to that. Like that's the greatest thing to see in clients. Um, so there's that. And then also, working with people every day, it reminds me of things that I can be conscious of. Like it's kind of a selfish career if you think about it, because it's like I'm also gaining so much insight as I'm working with different types of people. And I get to witness different perspectives, different walks of life, different ways of looking at things. And so it's created such great perspective taking for me in my own life that opens up a deep acceptance of you know, the uncertainty of what we can face.
Damn,
Yeah.
such insight and that's such a simple question that you gave me such insight.
Oh, I go deep, John.
Oh, Jesus, I'm a fan. Okay. Um, so you kind of said like you enjoy what you do because obviously it helps make you better.
Yeah.
And you kind of get to learn and grow from that. And growth, in one of my what's in my humblest of opinions and or experiences, as you said, we learn from.
Mhm.
Um, it's about like the shifting of perspective. And so, like to give you an example, um, when I first started like my personal training slash strength conditioning journey, as far as being a coach, I was like, the barbell is the greatest tool. Someone was like, let's create a long metal stick.
Yeah.
It's gonna weigh 45 pounds.
Mhm.
And then you can put heavy donuts on each side to make
Right.
it even heavier. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the best. Why would you do anything else? And then later on, I learned, I was like, there are so many other tools. I went from being like a barbell elitist to like, the barbell's a great tool, but it's not a great tool for everybody. Right. And I
Sure.
kind of learned and kind of shifted my perspective over time to where like now I'm more open and accepting of like these different viewpoints and or tools
Mm.
within like the industry or within like my field. And so like once again, perspective was like kind of like here and it's kind of shifted to become like so much bigger. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
what is something for you that has shifted from when like you first started your practice to like how you approach your practice now?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. And I really appreciate like you adding in your own like version of that, right? Like being having a myopic view and then zooming out. I would say that early on, I relied so heavily on my intellect
Mm,
inside of sessions. Um, exploring I mean, I'm a very curious person, so it was like easy for me to rely on like more cognitive approaches to therapy. Um,
mhm,
but I remember I would hit a certain limit with that. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a second, but there is a tendency to go into therapy and solely intellectualize about things. Like there's plenty of therapists out there doing that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like you said, it's using just one tool among many tools that we have, and it's actually ignoring the holistic being that is us.
mhm,
Um, and so early on, I was very much geared towards like, let's get some insight into this. Let's like look at patterns. Let's explore these things and gain more awareness of why you're doing what you're doing, right? And what I realized too is that I would be I would be having a certain um like I'd plan out a session and be like, "Oh, let's do this and let's go here." And I recognized that that was rigid because it wasn't fully allowing the other person to flow with the session. And I wasn't super accepting of like the other person's resistance, which
mm,
is which is an issue because we all have resistance and we all have like protective aspects of us that come up in therapy. And it's for good reason. Like those parts of us need to be listened to and honored so that they can like let down their guard. And then we can explore the underneath of that. But early on, I would say that I relied too heavily on intellect and thinking that I knew best for the client when in actuality, they are their greatest guide. I can
mhm,
just like help support that empowerment of them to really explore and discover what is true for them. And so, like, comparing that to now, I'm very much within the practice of they bring whatever they need to bring into session, and I will provide feedback and what I'm seeing underneath what they're saying. Um, but they are the ultimate creator of whatever we're exploring.
That is such a shift because essentially you're like it went from
Shift.
the therapy session went from being like up here to being like here.
Like here, yes.
Ah,
Yeah. And that's the other thing, not just using the mind, but exploring because we only feel in our body. So exploring and utilizing the wisdom that's in the body to also guide, guide the person whatever way they need to be guided. Because we're living in a body. We're not just like a floating head, like we're not just walking around just like a floating head and not experiencing life. And so how do we like tap into the wisdom of the body? Because the body holds trauma. Like we've learned this over and over again, and there's more and more research supporting that, is
mhm.
that if we don't attend to the body and release the trauma from the body, then we're not actually going to shift and change our lives in ways that we deeply want to.
Okay. Jeez. All right, we're getting heavy. I like this. I like this. Um, you mentioned how like your body or yourself, like you're very much like an informed uh like teacher. Like
Mhm,
I wanted to ask about you, and you kind of mentioned that you had like your own like coming out like as queer and things like that. So I guess I wanted to ask how your personal story, your personal like healing
mhm.
journey, how does that then inform you or impact your sessions or your practice with other people?
Yeah. So I've also been in my own, like, I've been in therapy and have had like various mentors and spiritual mentors, things like that, throughout the years. And I believe that, like, if I'm going to be a good psychologist, I have to do my own healing. Like, there's no way around it.
Mm,
The depth in which I can go is the depth in which I can lead people in sessions. And so, my journey began when I started going to therapy when I was 21,
okay.
and in therapy, like, I definitely had PTSD, when I walked into therapy, and I recognized that, the trauma that I experienced early on in my life, which and I've done a lot of work on this so I can speak to it easily, is I was molested when I was 4 years old, and I did not know about it until I was 21. I completely dissociated from it, and I realized this, and I recognized that the things that I was experiencing were totally connected to that trauma. Like, I had developed an eating disorder. In my teenage years, I had been really scared of like being intimate with somebody. I was scared of men. Like, there's all these pieces that I was just so confused about because I was like, why do I experience all these things? Like, nothing's really happened to me super significant other than my dad really wasn't super like present emotionally for me in
Mhm,
my childhood. But, like, I had other male role models, and my mom was great, and, like, it just didn't add up, and then I figured this out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, this is the reason why I have so much anxiety, and I experience these, like, nightmares that I just don't get." And so that was the beginning of me deconstructing these layers that were like, I didn't know who essentially I was because I had so many layers of protection, and everything that I knew about myself in a lot of ways was like PTSD symptoms.
P like your the PTSD symptoms were like things you thought about yourself? Like you thought those were like the oh,
I thought that that was me.
no.
I know. So that began my healing journey, and really, and the eating disorder, I that's so connected to trauma because it was me trying to feel some sort of agency over myself, and it became an eating disorder distorted in a way that allowed me to feel some sort of sense of control because I was like obsessed with food. I was obsessed with my body image, right? It was this way to like really like insulate me in a protective way that was attacking myself, which is trauma. Like when people experience trauma, we will tend to then attack ourselves in some form because underneath it is this narrative that there's something inherently wrong with me and I can't get close to people and people can't get close to me. Yeah. So we will do creative things, right? Like we're resilient human beings. We will do creative things to avoid the pain that's underneath it.
So we gonna figure it out one way or the other. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that obviously that's very like heavy as far as like your experience and kind of what you went through and like how deep you had to go from like starting therapy at like 21 to diving back into like your 4-year-old body and like re-experience that.
Yes.
Scary and heavy.
Yeah.
Um, you've kind of
I
like
know I didn't answer your question fully yet. The
oh
like
good.
how
No,
it led into like how it leads into my work and who I am as a therapist.
more of this, yes.
Yeah. Um, you know, after a lot of like a few years of healing work with myself and really like turning that narrative into a narrative that is true, which is like I experienced this horrible thing and I was super resilient to move through it in the way that I did, not knowing, not understanding what it was, especially at 4 years old, right? Like you're not even fully, I mean, I wasn't even fully verbal. And so I internalized this experience and did the best that I could with adapting along the way. And and so the opposing narrative to there's something inherently wrong with me became the narrative that I was a resilient little kid who did her best and I experienced something horrible, but it is not my identity. And actually, I can turn it into something beautiful. I can transmute this into something that is healing, not only healing for me, but healing in the context of the work that I do. And so I really believe that the traumas that we experience can transform into really beautiful things. I mean, there's this term called post-traumatic growth. So it's the other side of the coin to post-traumatic symptoms.
Mm,
It says that because you experience trauma, you have a deeper meaning for life and you have a greater understanding of yourself in various ways, and it becomes this strength. And that's not to invalidate people's PTSD symptoms because it's awful.
mm-hmm.
And on the other side of that is people are really resilient and we can totally like heal this, feel empowered and grow through it. We don't have to stay stuck in an identity that because I experienced trauma, then I can't have good things in life or I can't be like where I want to be or who I want to be, right?
Mm,
So that greatly informs how I work with people. I see the strength in people. I see the ways in which they've been resilient and I highlight that and still validate the awful terrible, like painful things, but holding both, I think, is really important.
So, let me see if I can sum up what I've understood and heard thus
Sure.
far. Essentially, horrible things can happen to you. You are not the horrible things that happen to you.
Yes,
And
exactly.
just because horrible things have happened to you, that doesn't mean you're stuck where you currently are. In fact, because horrible things have happened to you, you can then have a deeper understanding and potentially grow and elevate beyond these horrible things to new heights.
Beautifully said. Yes.
Look at me understanding. Let's
Like, that
go.
was really good summary. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about like trauma, stress in the body, and obviously, like I'm I do a little bit of like psychology, like sports psychology and or like mental psychology to help people like overcome little things. For example, we have like the subconscious actions that we do and the conscious actions that we take, and how those two essentially mind states or mind frames can like impact like either our day-to-day decisions, the results that we get, how hard we push ourselves, so on and so forth. Like, very,
Yeah.
very, very diet psychology, if you will.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you, as someone who works primarily in the field of mental health, like how does like your mindset, like your mental health, like affect results, affect physical activity and things of that nature?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, we walk around with stories in our head.
Huh.
Like we live by those stories, right? And many times those stories uh, stem from our conditioning, our upbringing, stems from like childhood experiences that have been very impactful. And
Mhm.
so we may be adults, but we are also all of the versions of ourselves from every age. And that lives in our bodies. And the mind says, "Oh, I'm an adult. That doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect me for years." But that's not true. That's actually an illusion because everything is remembered in the body.
Mhm.
And so we walk around having these stories like in the background of our lives that still uh relate to some sort of fear or wound or insecurity. And that's why you see people self-sabotage and be like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. Like I know what I want, but I just can't bridge the gap between what I want and what's happening right now inside of me. And so it's not because of willpower or like not being motivated or being lazy. It's more about what is your body telling you that you really need to listen to, because we get these sensations in our bodies that it's the language of the body, sensations, right?
Mhm.
You may just randomly have like this anxious sensation in your chest and not know why. But many times when I've been working with clients and they have these things come up, it's because it's the inner child trying to get your attention to heal something from your childhood that is being triggered in the body.
Mhm.
And if we can slow down and hold like that sensation with love and gentleness, there can be wisdom that can come up from that, you know?
Hmm. There can be
So
wisdom from
yeah,
the inner child. Okay, sorry, continue.
yeah.
Just
So, the speaking to the stories that live in our head, if we can gain awareness over those stories, um, and then connect with the body in whatever way that story connects for us, I believe we can process that thing that is a barrier to whatever we're wanting to accomplish, right? It's really about like, how are you relating to yourself in your life in a daily way, right? Because it's a relationship. You have a relationship with yourself. And if you're not attending to it, if you're not listening and really like validating your own experience, when you start going for something that you really want, but maybe there's a blocked belief that I don't deserve to be successful, and there's a story behind that, right? Then every time you try to gain success, you may end up self-sabotaging because there's something that you're not attending to inside of yourself.
This is really interesting. So, like, one of the things that, like, I often experience, like, as a coach in the fitness industry is essentially thinking or like a potential client or a person who's interested who wants a thing, essentially thinking they have all the skills and tools to achieve the thing right then there in that moment. So like
Mhm.
I had like I'm a grown ass adult. Like just do the
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
Like it's not hard. Do the thing. You know what the thing is. You're at point A. Just
Right.
go to get to point B, right? And then like they think they have all the tools to traverse the terrain to get to B, but like they don't. Kind of like in, for example, for me, it might be like nutrition. So the one
Mm,
my favorite strategy for helping people get results is calorie tracking
mhm,
because that's one of the main ways to understand like how much you should be eating. So many people like I've got my hunger cues broken.
mm.
I cannot like if let's say eat when you're hungry, I was like I would never stop. Just can't be stopped, baby. Like
Yeah,
John, you're
yeah,
300 pounds. I was like I'm hungry, baby. What do you want from me, right? Like
yeah.
and so like doing that, like, allows me to properly, like, either, focus on, like, some fat loss, focus on, like, some weight gain, like, returning some weight safely, but that's a tool that I had to, like, acquire. If you were like, "John,
Yeah.
just intermittent fast to get results," that's a diet strategy, that doesn't work the same way for me, and it might not work the same way for somebody else, like, that tool, that I thought I had all the tools when, like, I first started my fat loss or my, like, fitness journey. It was like, "Yeah, just eat less food and intermittent fast. That'll get me there." And I
Right.
started at point A and I never got to point B until like I got this tool later on that helped me get there. And
Mm,
essentially, I feel like you're saying like the same thing with like your mental health. Essentially, like you think you know where point B is, but there are things in the middle, things you don't understand, aren't aware of, and can't see that
yes.
are potentially going to roadblock you from getting to where you want to be in your physical journey that are going on in your mental space that you don't even know about.
Completely. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a law of the universe, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like if you solely focus on the central goal that you're going after, right? Like for example, weight loss. If you
Mhm.
only focus on that, you're going to create more anxiety on it if you're just like I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight. But if you focus on all of the adjacent pieces, like you were saying, tracking your calories, right? Hydrating, getting enough sleep, like all the things, right? Then eventually you're going to lose weight. But if you try to put all the pressure on I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight, uh you're creating resistance,
Mm.
right?
Someone spoke to me about this once. The way he referred to it was he says it's like excess potential or something.
Mm,
And he
mhm.
said essentially like let's say you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, go back to sleep, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. And now you're getting anxious about going back to sleep. So now you're not gonna go back to
Yes,
sleep.
exactly. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, we create more of what we defend against.
I need to write that down. Seriously. Strictly create.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why in my practice, I really like bringing, bringing consciousness to what are the parts of you that are in resistance. Because if we force those parts to just, like, push through it, we're not gonna actually break through anything. So we need to slow down and listen to the resistance and what it's telling you. And then we can gain some sort of insight or figure out whatever way that we need to pivot with that in order to
Mhm.
get all the parts of you on board with the healing process. right?
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. So it's not like essentially we're bringing everybody.
Yes,
Everyone's coming on this healing journey.
yeah,
Like you can no feeling, no thought, no trauma left behind. Let's round it up.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because all parts need to feel safe to actually change something.
All right. All viewers listening, once again, if you over here dropping like the big knowledge, there's a gap between point A and point B. There's things you don't know. Go to therapy. That's I'll leave it there.
Yes, yes.
Go see somebody specifically, Liz.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um. Next, I want to ask you one more like question that I really like will highlight you and kind of what you do. You mentioned the North Node Therapeutic Theater. Please tell me I said that correctly.
You did. Yeah, nice.
Um,
Good job.
Please, and I kind of got to get a little like tidbit of insight about what that was like prior to hopping on this episode. But could you tell everyone what that is, what that's about, like why it's important? I really want to. I think this is obviously important for everybody, and I really want. I think this is something that can highlight you, what makes your work unique, essentially.
Yeah, so North Node Therapeutic Theatre is, uh, is something that me and my work partner, Lindsay, shout out to
Mhm.
Lindsay, we created
Shout out, Lizzie.
together. Yeah. Um, we came together because what our mission is to help people be more embodied
Hmm.
because we're in a world where we overutilize our mind and can easily stay stuck in our mind. And what that does to the body is it dysregulates the body because the mind can't feel feelings. The mind can think, analyze, problem solve, um, you know, be creative and use the imagination to envision like our future and all of that, but it cannot feel. And so what Lindsay and I wanted to do is create a process that is holistic and attends to the whole person. So experiential therapy, that's what it is bringing the whole person into the process because when we ignore the body, we really can't change anything because one, our nervous system, if we're in our mind, we're dysregulated. So when you're dysregulated constantly, what you will do is you will tend to stay protected.
Mm,
You won't actually be able to thrive in your life. You'll just be surviving, right? So
okay.
you may not get to do things that align with what you value. You may just stay stuck in trying to just like survive every day, right? And that's not where yeah, that's not where we want to live. We want to like thrive. Um so it's it's really about bringing the body and the mind together because that's the most powerful thing we can do is we can
Hmm.
integrate those pieces. And what that means is we fundamentally need to release whatever excessive energy in our body that we're holding, because then that gives us a greater chance to feel safety in our body.
Hmm.
And so Lindsay will initially walk people through physical exercises um, to connect with the body. So that may look like walking around the room and just noticing your breath and noticing what is it like to walk? How does that feel? Are you holding your breath? What sensations are you noticing in your body right now? Right. So developing a vocabulary with your own body. Because, like you were saying earlier, each person is different in how they develop their understanding of what works for them. And so we also need to develop our own vocabulary of our body because it's specific to each person, right? And so she'll walk through that. We will do some like acting exercises that
Okay.
help, yeah, help like develop more awareness of like our own tone, how we respond to things in the moment, which is connected to what is trapped in our body,
Hmm.
Okay. So, for example, if I'm walking around the room holding tension in my body because maybe I have social anxiety, and maybe that social anxiety is connected back to a traumatic experience early on in my life. Maybe I was bullied, right? Then when I'm doing these exercises, I'm going to feel that tension in my body and I'm going to notice that my body isn't wanting me to speak, for example, right?
Mm,
Which then allows the person information that's in the moment and also relational because we're doing this within the context of a group setting and one on like paired up, you know, exercises that people do together. And so it really develops this wonderful knowledge that is like living in your body that maybe you just didn't understand. And you can integrate that. So
hmm,
it's like the first portion of the North Node Therapeutic Theater. The last thing that we do is therapeutic theater. And so
mm,
what we'll do is we'll take somebody will volunteer a story. Usually it's a traumatic experience. They'll tell us this story. They'll set it up. They'll tell us who was involved in the situation, what happened, where were you, like really build it up into this. It's almost like a play in a way. It's like a reenactment, right? And so they'll tell the story and then they will pick people in the group to play various parts. Maybe it's like a spouse, their spouse. Maybe also what I tend to do is I will be like, what internal parts were present in this experience? And who do you want to play each internal part? And we'll use that to help them develop more like different perspectives of the situation
mm,
or see like maybe I'll pull them out of the experience and they'll watch it and I'll have somebody else play them so they have a distance from it and they could see it in a different vantage point. There's all sorts of things that like I'll do with people to help them create movement inside of that experience so that it feels complete in some way. And then we'll probably do the situation in a way that they deeply desired and have them experience that. And John, the beauty of this is that the our imagination is so powerful that what we imagine, our body believes that it's happening in that moment.
mm.
So there isn't a difference between what we imagine and what is actually happening. Like the body believes what we imagine, what we reenact is actually happening all over again.
Ooh, so is this why like forgive me, this is just like
No, go for it.
is this why like essentially like a nightmare, like a bad dream can like caught like almost be like to the point of like an attachment rupture with like a significant other? Is this why like
Yes.
it's like you did this in my dream and like earlier that you're like whoa, 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 like hey I'm here I
Yeah.
didn't this is why because your imagination is that
Yeah, yeah, that's a great example of that. Yes. Yeah, just imagine, like, for example, you imagine that you go to your kitchen, you pull out a lemon from the fridge,
Mhm.
you go and cut the lemon in half, and if you imagine putting it up to your lips, what happens? You start salivating because your body doesn't know the difference. That's why our thoughts are so powerful. That's why the stories that we live with are so powerful. And that's why it's super helpful to process these things and change them. And you can.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So much growth here for potential. Okay. I love this. For
Yeah,
those
it's so
who
cool.
don't know, could you drop or say out loud and then later on like email and or text me
Yeah.
the way people either the website or the Instagram or the I don't know how else people would like the TikTok. I don't know how other else people would find North Node Therapeutic Theater because I want them to learn more about this like education, this insight.
Yeah. Yes. So if you you'll find us on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Hmm.
If you just search North Node Therapeutic Theater, you'll find us.
Okay,
Yeah.
legit. I
Yes.
I think I can at you from my YouTube channel. I don't
Sweet.
know for sure. I don't know for sure. I'm still like new
I
on the
think
YouTube
you
thing.
can. I'm pretty sure you can.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to at y'all. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
Sweet.
So for those watching, if I'm good enough at YouTube, I will at and tag Liz in the North Node Therapeutic Theater. You can go straight to her. If not, there will be links in the comments or in the caption.
Awesome.
Well,
Appreciate it.
legit. Two more questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
One, I put it. I said two more questions. I said one and put two fingers up. Jesus. One. What what piece of wisdom or advice would you be willing to like offer a viewer here, not knowing much about them, who they are? They're probably on my channel, so they're probably interested in like working out or fitness, something like that. So what advice could you or would you offer them? So that's the first question.
Okay.
The second question is my guests get to name their episode. And so like go ahead and let that ruminate in your brain now.
Okay.
Because I want you to, after you tell me or after you give our guests wisdom and insight, more
Mhm.
than you already have because you've already done a lot. Uh, I want you to name the episode. Shoot.
Okay. Okay. Some wisdom. Let's see. Yeah, I wanna frame it for your audience. Well, one, and this is a shout out to Lindsay because this is totally her saying, and I appreciate it. Motion is the body's lotion.
Ooh, okay. Okay. I like
Okay.
that. Motion is the body's lotion. Okay.
So, like, when we move, we are able to regulate our body because what we're doing is we're releasing energy, right? Like
Mhm.
so much of us is energy. And if we can find a way to work with our own energy in a way that benefits us in terms of like regulating our nervous system, um, allowing us to be comfortable with the whole range of feelings, that is to our benefit. And so, what I would recommend is in whatever way that looks like, movement, dropping into your own emotional experience. Like, we have so many distractions in our world today. You could, like, you could go years, you could go your whole life and never connect with yourself emotionally, right?
Life.
Whole life. Yeah.
It's a long time.
And
Okay.
that's probably not gonna happen because there's like life demands us to look at things.
Life will come get you.
Exactly, like, came back all around, full circle. And so what I would highly recommend is having a practice of sitting with or walking even, connecting with the sensations in your body and how they're related to any stories that you're telling yourself.
Hmm.
Movement, like just walking, is bilateral stimulation, and that helps us process many things in our body.
Hmm.
I don't know if have you heard of EMDR?
I have heard of EMDR, yes.
Yeah, so eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a type of trauma modality, and I'm trained in it. I do it with my clients. Um, the bilateral stimulation. So the origin of this is that there was a psychologist back in the 80s who studied sleep, and she noticed that when participants were in REM sleep, right, when we're processing things,
What
our
happened? I'm
eyes, yeah, our eyes flicker left, right, left, right, left, right.
I did not know this. Okay.
Mhm. And so she hypothesized, well, that's the brain kickstarting itself into processing. What if the person was conscious and awake and they were focusing on their traumatic experience? Could they process that? Because the thing with trauma is that PTSD symptoms like flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, nightmares, etc. It's the brain thinking that the trauma is still happening in the present moment. So it's stuck in short term memory.
Hmm.
So what EMDR does is it essentially helps the brain put that memory into long-term storage. And
So
then
get out of right now. Like get out of me reliving this memory. Like it happened, but it happened a long time ago. It's not happening right now.
right.
Okay.
So it in terms of space time, like it helps your system recognize that that was actually in the past. It's not happening right now. Exactly.
Hmm.
Right. And so EMDR is very effective. I mean, 95% success rate. It decreases PTSD symptoms, sometimes eliminates them entirely. So PTSD can be resolved. It's just utilizing the modalities that benefit you the most.
Okay. This is so freaking cool. All right. So look,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this now.
Yeah.
I want to have you back on as a guest. I made that clear. It's been a need. But
Yes.
I'm gonna drop the couple of things I want to talk about next time now. So if you're watching this, viewers, you get free insight for the next episode. I
Mm.
did want to ask you. So I read this book by James Nestor called Breath, and about what breath would do and how that brought up like these different like varying emotions and traumas and things like that. What would happen to people via breath work? So there's breath. I want that to be next.
Love
Uh,
it.
the next is potentially the usage of like mushrooms,
Mm,
acid, or like MDMA on like processing like
mm,
emotions and trauma and how those have impacted things or
mm.
impacted like trauma. So those are three things I really want to talk about
Okay.
again
Yeah.
because I'm bringing you back. Um,
You got it.
that last question. Um, episode name.
Okay. Episode name. Oh man. Okay. We are more than our mind.
We are more than we
Yeah.
are
Yeah. That feels right.
badass. Okay. This was an amazing episode. You're coming back. You don't have a choice.
I do not have a choice. It's
I,
been
I
so good. I've really enjoyed talking to you. This has been awesome.
oh, I'm glad you feel the same.
Yeah.
This is the best. I'm gonna like end the recording now, but once again, viewers, if you want more of this like deep therapeutic mindset, psychological like insight, like you need to come back. Thank
Yeah.
you for the time, and I'll end the podcast episode now.
Awesome. Bye, y'all.